The reason why we look for impression evidence is because a lot of times things can be left behind that we can use to help us investigate the case, especially shoe print and tire tread impressions. That can tell us a lot about who was at the scene. We usually look for this, especially surrounding maybe if we've gone to where there's been a homicide or there's something that has happened at a location where somebody has gone in and has stolen some equipment or whatever we have to investigate. We can look for these, telltale signs. A lot of times, though, when you do get to, say if it's a big event, and you arrive there and people have been hurt, who are the first people to arrive in the scene? EMS, right? Okay, they're out there. They basically wear the same type of boots everywhere. So we can eliminate those. So we'll take elimination prints of them. Two ways we'll do it, all right? One way is that we can use biofoam. Is everybody familiar with biofoam at all? Okay, I'm going to pass that around. You can poke at this to feel it, okay? And then I took, there was somebody who was in here the other day, and outside we took this little impression. It's somebody in the class, and so we'll see if anybody's good enough to figure out whose print this is. But basically, we would use this as an elimination print, okay? Or if we find the suspect and we want to take his print, we may have him step into this, and then we can cast this, okay? And we'll talk a little bit about that today, too. Okay. Shoe print and evidence. Say if you went into a house and there was tile floor. Do you think that they could find prints on that tile floor? Yeah, pretty much. But how are you going to find those prints right away? You're going to be able to see them with your eyes. What do you think you're going to use? Flashlight, right? So you want to get the flashlight, and what you want to do is that you want to make sure that the light itself is shown on whatever the material is. And especially, we'll go out there today and show you how to do this. You kind of want to dim the lights in the house. If you dim the lights in the house, and then you want to kind of put it toward where you think there might be a print. And once you find that print, okay, what do you think you're going to do once you find that print? What have we learned? Take a photo, right? And Keith's going to go over on how to do that today, on taking photos. Once you do that, you're going to maybe want to try different ways to maybe lift that print. What's one way doing it that you don't use the Electrostatic Lifter? You guys probably all have done it. Maybe you don't realize it. What's another way of doing it? It has to do with fingerprints. It has to do with the rubber lifters. Have you guys ever used those? Okay, no, okay. The rubber lifters you can use also to put down to lift the print, but when you do that, you have to put the protective cover that comes with it on top, and what gets created every time you always use that? The bubbles, the air bubbles, right? It's kind of hard to get out, kind of hard to see the print, but you can use that if you don't have the electrostatic dust lifter. So you want to look for the print, you want to photograph it, and like I said, Keith's going to show you that. And then you want to lift it. This is the shoe. This is what's been left behind. Okay? This is the big device, actually, that most of the field offices have. You guys ever seen this one in your office? Have you seen this one? Okay, this is the bigger device. Okay, basically, all it is electrostatic electricity, and it just charges it, and the dust adheres to the film. Okay? And it's very simple. That's a very fragile lift, okay? It won't fall off when you shake it or anything like that, but if you put your finger on it, you're going to erase that lift, all right? And we'll talk about how to package that so that doesn't happen. Now you've taken you've done the electrostatic dust lifting, and you've taken the print, and it's come up onto the Mylar paper. What's the next thing you're going to have to do? Now you've taken the picture on the floor, right, with the oblique light. What's the next thing you think you're going to have to do? Take a photograph of that, just in case it does get ruined, okay? And like I said, Keith will go over how to do that. This is basically what you're going to do today. You're going to take the film, and you're going to place it over what you think is the print itself, all right? Now this is the bigger machine, so I'll just walk through this one, and then I'll show you with the electrostatic, the smaller one, the Pathfinder. Basically, you take another piece of the film, and you turn it over. This is your grounding area. You now put the alligator clip to the grounding area here, and you take the red electrode and turn the machine on, and it produces the charge. Whoops. And you'll hear a crackling sound. You will hear that sound when you use this machine. And sometimes you'll see a small spark happen, but that's okay. That's not anything to worry about. And what it will do is it sucks, thank you, it just sucks right to the Mylar paper. Okay. Now, you can use the roller and you can smooth it out and it's not going to ruin your print, okay, because electricity going through there is going to keep all of that print intact. So all you can do is you can roll it out and get it nice and smooth. And basically, that's what you should get for a result. Okay, you should get this right here. The transfer from this that was made on this, and this paper went on top of that, electricity ran through it, and this is what you got produced. Does everybody understand the concept? It's pretty easy. Okay, now that you have that, it needs to be photographed, and like I said, Keith is going to show you how to do that. Okay, now this is an actual bank robbery case. What do you see? Now you arrive at the bank robbery. You know, it's happened, you arrive there and you're talking to the teller, and the first thing you want to look for is what? The film out of the where? The surveillance cameras, right? So you get the film, and what do you see? What's he doing? He's on the counter, so what are you thinking about? Okay, we may get a print from that. Okay, bad picture being taken, right, Keith? Bad picture. Okay, what happened here with the flash? Did he have the flash on the camera? Yeah, he did. He had it on top of the camera. He didn't remove it and move it to the side. He didn't do any of the little techniques that Keith's going to show you today. This is a little better. This is a marbled countertop. That's why you're seeing like those large white striations going through. But what are you seeing here? Shoot, yeah, pretty good. This happened actually in Georgia. There was a robbery. The detectives then had developed the suspect. Look what they found. Is that pretty good? Can the lab make an identification from that? Absolutely. Basically, if you get a photograph like that and you send it to the lab, they will send you back a lead, but it's a class lead. They'll say, look for this type of shoe, okay? But when you send that shoe in with that photograph, the lab can blow it up enough that they can find any kind of microscopic imperfections on that shoe and can match it and tell you exactly that's the shoe. Because remember, when we all wear shoes, what do we do to those shoes? We put our own what? Individual characteristics to those shoes, right? I mean, some of us have a different type of walk. Some of us use those shoes to do a lot of things where we've, scuffed off maybe, the bottom part of our shoes. The lab requests every manufacturer to send them a prototype of the shoes that are out there. They don't have to, but we do have an unbelievable shoe print and tire tread file back at the lab. And basically, it also tells you where these shoes were manufactured and where they were sold across the country. So, like the western part of the state might get a different kind of Nike shoe compared to the eastern part of the state, and we'll know that. So the lab does have that capability of finding that out. If there is a uniqueness to it, okay, which makes it individual, still class lead though, it's still class information, it's never going to be like fingerprints, they will tell you that that is the shoe, that is a match. Before we go on to doing the shoe prints and casting, I want to do a little demo so that you can understand how it works, and then when you go to try it yourselves, you won't be, fumbling with the machine. Okay, basically, I'm going to shut the light off again. This is the switch, right? Oh. 99. Shh. Not yet, not yet. Okay, pretend this is a floor. All right, this piece of newspaper is a floor. All right, and I'm going to kind of hold it up and walk it around. You guys really see much on here? Not really, right? You really can't really make out anything on here. Okay. So now, what's the next thing we want to do? We want to see if there's anything there. So what are we going to use? Flashlight, right. We're going to use our flashlight. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to look. Now if you want to stand up, although I can probably hold it up, probably better if you try. If you want to stand up to look at this, look what I found when I hit it with the light. Whoa! You didn't see that before, right? Wow, huh? Okay, so what are you going to do with this now?
Picture.
Oh, look at that, picture. Wow, we're good. Okay, now we have a picture of it, but I want the lab to look at this. What am I going to do now?
Mail it.
Mail it, huh? The whole floor?
It's only paper.
But it's really a floor. Okay, so we took our picture, but how am I going to lift that? We just talked about it. Electrostatic dust lifter. Wow, look at this. They pay attention. Okay, so now we found the print. We pretty much know where it is. We've done our photos of it. Okay, and now we want to try to lift it. I'll put the light on for this, and then we'll shut it off again. Okay, so which side goes down?
Wow.
Ah, look at that. It's nice to look at the shiny side, right? Yeah. So I'm going to put it right on top of it. You put the paper down, right? This is the plate now. This is your ground-in plate, but the electricity has to flow through. You usually want to put it like a couple of inches away from where your print is. Very easy. Okay? The two back electrodes go on the plate. The front one goes on the paper. Can't be any easier than that. Okay, we'll put it down like this, and then I'm going to. Now, if you get closer, you will see that the electricity is starting to suck into the paper. Don't touch it. I need my ruler. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Watch how it goes. It's little by little. You can see it as it's sucking in. See it? It's adhering to the print itself. And I'm just going to keep letting it charge. And once I get the roller, I'll smooth it out. And then we'll shut the lights off again. Let's see what we have. Thank you, sir. Would you like to roll?
Yeah, when you roll, you want to roll in one direction.
Right. There you go.
You want to keep your fingers off the metal on the roller. If you don't, it'll remind you.
Yes, it will. Okay, there we go. That's very good. Okay, and then you want to shut this off. Okay, we'll talk about casting, and what we use for casting is dental stone. And if any of you have ever had braces, you know the procedure for that. So dental stone comes in these 9-pound, 10-pound, 2 pounds. You can buy as much as you want of the dental stone. There's other products out there. There's track stone. Has anybody ever heard of track stone? We have one in the audience. Track stone actually is already pre-measured for you, and you just add the water to it. It's a bluish color which has these crystals in it that hardens the mixture together. And then all you do is pour the water into the bag and you mix it up. Track stone is good for climates that don't have humidity, okay? If you're in Georgia, it's not going to work, okay? If you're in Phoenix, it works great, okay? Because it dries very well in Phoenix, and the ground in Phoenix gets really hot, so you have to, you know, be sure the mixture is okay. Basically, all you're going to do is today, and you're going to do this afternoon, but we're going to just mix up, it's like 2 to 1, that's the mixture. So like 16 ounces of track stone to 8 ounces of water. Okay, you pour it into this bag here, and then you're going to knead the bag until you get it like pancake batter mixture. You know, not too thin and not too thick. All right, so you don't want that to happen. What happens if you say you're out in an area and it's really kind of dusty and pretty windy out there, and you find a shoe print? What methods do you think you can use to maybe keep that print from, you know, disappearing before you pour the mixture into it? Does anybody have a clue?
Make a barrier.
Well, what else do you think? Think about something else that a lot of men use it too every day. Hairspray, right? So now we know you use hairspray, right? No. Hairspray. Am I going to spring that hairspray directly into the print? No. Probably up in the air and let it settle into the dust. It's not going to hurt your print at all. But what it does is keeps that dirt from moving when you pour the mixture in. Let's talk about pouring the dental stone into the cast itself. How am I going to do that? Am I going to just take it and go up to it and dump it in? No? How do you think I should do it? Right, let it run down. Exactly. Let the gravity, let it happen. Start, you know, on the sides or start wherever, but let it just start to flow into, okay, into the cast itself. Once it does that, you can smooth it out, you know, with a tongue depressor or a ruler or something, just to even it out. Because once it's initially in there, it's not going to hurt your print. Then you have to let it get hard, and it takes probably about, you know, it depends where you live, 30 minutes to 40 minutes to kind of set enough for you to lift that up. Now, once that is hard enough, you still have to do something with that print. They want an identifying mark on that print. They want to know what item number it is, and they want your initials on it to say that you took the print. There's two ways that that is done. One is sometimes people take a stick and they write their initials right before it gets really hard, and they write the item number. I don't like doing that too much because I've seen people take the stick and go into the cast itself a little bit too deep. Use a Sharpie, it works just as well. That will stay on the print. Okay, so now it's hard enough for you to lift it up. When you lift it up and it's all that dirt and all that stuff, and should you clean it off? Yeah, well, why wouldn't you want to clean it off? That's right. How do we know that what was ever on the bottom of that shoe didn't come from another place and got deposited in there? We don't know that. So you don't want to clean it off. Now the lab says that you can remove small debris and all that stuff. I don't even recommend to do that. I just send the whole thing to the lab. Let them have it, because they take the dirt and they send that to the geologist, and they look at the dirt. And they do all the soil examinations from there. So I don't do that. I just take it off and pull it up, take it in, and put it into a box, and let it air dry. It has to air dry to about almost 72 hours to be completely dried, and then you want to ship it to the lab. Your evidence control people know how to ship it to the lab. That I do know, because they taught me how to do that. So they will make sure that it doesn't get broken and sent to the lab. We put it in when we used the track stone, it came in boxes like this biofoam came in. And we would just put the cast in right in here, okay, and then we would just send that to the lab like that. Do you want to put it in plastic or cardboard? The cast. Cardboard. Why cardboard? Breathes. What happens if you put that in there and it's not completely dry? What's going to happen to that cast in plastic? Condensation. And what does condensation lead to? Moisture and then mold. Okay? Remember, cardboard, because it breathes, okay? Any questions about that? This is just to show you how he's doing it. So he's mixed it up. Of course, he's wearing a suit. Back in the bureau days when the lab came out, they all wore the suits and the ties. And he's pouring this in. This is a perfect cast. What he put around there was a form, okay? He may be on an incline or something like that. And your kits do have those. Basically, they're either metal or plastic strips that you can put around the impression, and when you pour it in, it stops the dental stone from running into, or the cast material running all over the place. It contains it so that you can get a better print. So now he's lifted up, okay. And again, we said let it air dry. Okay, this is not what you send to the lab, this is what the lab does to it, okay. It takes all that dirt off of it, and that's what it's going to look like. And today you'll see that. Today you can clean off your cast so you can at least see how good the print is on it. All right, let's talk about impressions in snow. All right. Now, again, with the photography of it, well, I'll have Keith speak to that if he wants to say something about it. But remember, you're looking at a print and it's in snow. How hard is it going to get a photo of that, white on top of that and all that? It's kind of a little difficult, right? So we need to probably bring up that print a little bit, kind of give it a little bit of definition. And there's several ways to do that, actually. There's snow print, of course, that you can buy. And it comes in this can and it sprays out this kind of reddish color. Or you can get gray primer paint and you can use that. So basically what you want to do is you want to spray it, you want to photograph it, you want to spray another thin layer, and you want to photograph it again, okay, prior to lifting this print. So each time it takes a little bit of time for it to set. Then you want to pour the casting material into it. I'm going to show actually, he's casting a print here, which you can't see. Now, the only thing is that you've got to remember with anything that you use, you have to make sure that where you live, if you're in the cold climate or in the warm climate, that whatever you're using, you have to keep everything kind of at the temperature of where you are. So, as an example, if you're using this dental stone, and you're in Phoenix, and it's 110 degrees that day, what do you think that ground is? That ground's probably about 130 degrees, okay? Am I going to take cold water and pour it into that mixture and pour it into that cast? No. Guess what happens? Cracks, okay? We didn't know that, kept doing it to us. I called the lab and said, hey, this is what's going on. They said, no, that water needs to be almost at air temperature, okay? keep it there and pour it in. And when we did that, we didn't have a problem. Okay, now doing it in snow, you have water that you're pouring into the bag again. You want to cool that water down to probably the air temperature again. You can put a little bit of the snow in the water to keep it cool, or take that bottled water out, set it outside for a while, and get it to the temperature, and then mix it up, so that you make sure that you don't crack your cast. Again, that's what they say, it'll be too hot. Old or cold wax spray may not function properly. If you just have this can of spray wax and it's in the trunk of your car and you live in Alaska and the day you want to take it to use it, that's what could happen to it. Okay, got to make sure that you read the manufacturer, what it says, how to keep, temperatures. Every time you look at an aerosol can, what's it say? Don't only have it at 120 degrees, don't have it below a certain temperature. The same thing with the snail wax or anything that you're going to use out there. You want to make sure, because that's exactly what's going to happen. It's not going to work. Okay, so now he sprayed it. Can you see the color of it right there? We'll get a better picture of it. Okay, this is what it was before. Okay, so now you pour it in there, and now you're saying, I want it to dry, okay? And it is freezing out there, okay? So what do we all do? Get back in our vehicles, right? We wait. There's several ways to maybe help this cure a little faster, okay? And the people sometimes, because their car's been heated up, will drive their car over the print, shut their engine off, and the heat from the car to let it get warm. Other people put a cardboard box on top of it to make it, like a heat source, so that it will get also hard enough so they can pull it up. This is them pouring it in. And today this is going to be really important. You want to have two people do it, because you can do it by yourself. It is a little bit more difficult, but you want to make sure that the flow of this is proper. Now this is a little bit thick, okay? And it's probably because it's getting thick because it's outside, okay? It's starting to, condense out there. The water is evaporating, and so it's making it harder. So you want to make sure you get that mixture. Once you're done mixing it, get it poured into that cast. Don't be standing around with the bag, walking around with it, because, each time you do that, that mixture is getting harder inside the bag. And that's what it's going to look like today when you do it. But we don't have the snow. Okay, and this is what he's doing right here. He put, looks like, one of those gift boxes, put it on top of it, just to keep it from, doing it. Oh, excuse me. A little fast with this. Okay, we're talking about water. Okay, here's an impression that is in the water. What's the difficulties you have about thinking about the water? Okay, you go in there, you look down, and you see in the shallow water, you see a print. What do you think you're going to have to do? Think about the water moving around.
Stop the water.
You need to stop the water flow. What are you going to build? Like a little dam, right, exactly. You're going to build a dam around it, right? You want to stop the water from going there. Okay, now you have a water source. What are we going to do with the dental stone? Are we going to mix it in a bag and pour it in, or are we going to take the dental stone and just let it go in there? Which way? Okay. Yeah, you want to pour it in dry, because what's the dental stone mixed with? Water. There you go, right? So you just want to sprinkle it on top and let it fall right in. Again, this is the picture taken before it's been cast. Again, they're saying gently sprinkle the dental stone over the impression, and the excess dental stone, that's floating around, let that just go away. Wait till it all settles down. Okay, and then you want to make sure that you scratch your identifying marks again. I think we have a picture of it. Okay, it's not an easy print to get, all right, but there's still some good detail there. Your photograph is really important. Okay, microsil. Is anybody familiar about microsil? Does anybody know what it does? A few of you do. How many of you don't know? Okay. Basically, microsil is just a casting material that's used to actually get tool marking impressions, okay? The microsil itself, and I'm going to pass around what it looks like. I'm going to use this actually at your desk, so when I'm done talking about it, I'm going to have you clear everything off your desk, and then we're going to just do it right while you're sitting down. It will come with the casting material and then a hardener that you have to use. These are mixed together, and then you take a tongue depressor or anything like that that looks like this, anything that will help you spread, and you spread it over the tool marking. Okay, so basically let's just talk a little bit about tool marks. Okay, what happens if somebody tried to break in here and they used a crowbar? What's going to be left behind? Right, the impression from the tool marking, okay? So how do we get that to the lab for them to tell us what kind of tool that is? Okay. Cut out the door case. Exactly, right? I mean, that's right. That's one way of doing it, okay? Another way is trying to cast that marking and send that into the lab itself. Photographing it is good to show the relationship of where it is, but from what I understand, and I talked to the tool marking and firearms and tool marking unit, that the pictures are not good enough for them to make a determination of what the type of tool is. And the reason for that is, and when we do the firearms and tool marks lecture, you'll understand it a little better. So when the tools are produced in quantity through machines, machines leave microscopic imperfections on those tools. Now, by your use of using it and doing whatever you do to it, what are you putting on it? More markings on it, okay? So it makes your tool more now become a little bit more individual to the user who uses that tool. The photograph can't pick up those microscopic imperfections. So basically, for them to do a proper match, they need to have some type of casting or the item itself that was left behind for them, and then when you find the tool, sending it into the lab and they'll match it up. The lab can tell you what kind of tool it probably is. They're not going to tell you that's the tool that's being used until you find the known, okay? You can send as many unknowns you want to the lab. Until you send them a known, they're never going to say that's the one that did it, okay? That's the tool that made that marking. So we're just going to try a couple of ways of doing this. We're going to talk about microsil, and then we're going to talk about Accutrans or Extrude. All that is a agent-proof way of mixing the two together, okay, and coming out one tube and putting it on. It's less messy than microsil, the use of microsil. And I'll just pass this around really quickly, and then we'll do a small demonstration, and then you guys will also. Okay, it comes in colors. It comes in black, it comes in gray, it comes in white, it comes in brown. It all depends. Some people have better luck with different colors. Some people like the gray the best. Some people like the black better, okay? Those are the two that I see used the most. So it just all depends on your preference. So for casting tool marks, which is the striations of what you're looking for to do that, it's 1 centimeter microsil to 1 centimeter of hardener. Okay, so basically what we're going to do today, my little cards. I just need the fingerprint cards, that's all. And I'll pass this out in a minute. We're just going to take an equal amount, okay? So when you squirt out the microsil, how long you put that length on there, put the same amount for the hardener, okay? And then you're going to take the tongue depressor and you're going to mix it together, and then you're just going to apply it right on top of the tool. All right, it's going to be pretty easy to do that. And then it sets up pretty quickly. Do you remember silly putty when you were kids, like playing with that? It kind of has that kind of texture to it, but it gets like kind of this rubbery feel into it, and it works really pretty well. You get pretty good detail with it. Okay, and this is just a demonstration of how to do it. So what they're saying is once you mix it, you take it, you apply it to the tool surface, and then you can lift it up. Okay, and then we'll talk about extrude. Okay, the basis for extrude is the same thing. All we're going to do is the guns are already put together for you. I suggest you try to take the gun apart and put it together. Okay, that's the most difficult part of this, is getting it to go the right way. Caulking gun, same concept as a caulking gun. Okay, so basically there is a metal lever in the back here that you're going to flip. Okay, you're going to pull this all the way back until it sits. That's where the extrude, or this is called Accutrans, which is the 2 cartridges. Okay, these get mixed together, and we put on a tip, which we're all going to get to do. All right, and I'll give a little demonstration of this. Let me put this on first. Oops. Make sure you lift that up. Okay, that's all. You want to take this off. Okay, you want to put the tip on, which is gets on and it locks in place. Okay, what this is going to do is mix the hardener and the casting material together for you. All right, so basically, and this is a clear one, so actually this is not a very good demonstration, but this is clear. And then I would find a tool marking for it to put it on, and basically I just put it on and I let it dry. Okay, I'll pass that around. And as it goes around the room, you can start touching it. Once this is done, this begins to harden in the tip. Okay, so if you're not going to do any more, you want to take this off, and you want to put the cap back on, okay? All of these will be brand new tubes, so we shouldn't have a problem with it. And I'll pass the gun around too so you can see the gun. Any questions about that? It's pretty easy to use. It's not difficult. Okay, here's a demonstration of showing tool marking being made. Somebody's breaking into the locker. Okay, these are the markings that are left behind. This is now seen under the microscope. These are the scrape marks that were left behind on the locker itself. Okay, so, oops, I guess he doesn't have the rest of it. Sorry. Anyway, that's what they look like under the microscope. It goes a little further than that, actually. What it does is takes you to the tool, and when you see the tool itself had a chip on the top part of the plier, the driver thing, and it showed underneath the microscope. And when they found the tool and they matched it to the striations marked, it matched perfectly. Okay, we can't see that with our eyes. It has to go under the microscope. Okay, and they, they do that comparison under there. So it's pretty easy. All I'm going to do is do enough of this. If you want, I can get gloves if you want gloves. And enough of that. Okay, and you have to mix them together, okay? Now there's some people who in the last time we did this, had just taken this and put it on and that on top of it. It's not going to work, okay? This has to be mixed together. So basically, you're just going to mix it. It's always fun to play with this stuff. It dries pretty quickly, so as soon as you mix it, just take enough of it. And, of course, you're going to increase how much you put down depending on how big the tool marking is. All right, if it's a big area, you're going to increase the size of it. And then you're just going to spread it on top of it. And that's it. And it's going to dry.